Simpler and hey, good evening. Give me 1 second. Let me get started here. Let me get started very quickly. Okay, so sound should be fine, I think. Should be fine, yes. I guess I need to close a bunch of stuff here. Alrighty, can you hear me well? I guess you can. You should be able to, I assume. Let me just... Simplaren, if you're there and if you can hear me, just let me know. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm just... Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna start the stream with me finishing something, and then we're gonna move on to something else actually. So I just need to fix something that's highly annoying. And actually scroll the selection interview. Yeah, I don't think that's... Nah. I don't know, this is a bit... So essentially, good evening, by the way. So what I'm doing now, I'm just finalizing some new extension for TipTap. And to call it finalized, I need to make sure when we enter this thing that I call a callout, it's not setting the cursor inside, which is really bad. So give me a second, let me just also pin the programmer network. Cool. Okay. Zoom, good evening, buddy. Thank you for coming. Okay, and the AI is kind of failing miserably now, and I don't know this low-level API too much. To be honest with you. So that's kind of correct, okay? Okay, so that's also kind of correct. So, and if we remove everything, it should kill it. So far, so good. But yeah, it's still not setting the cursor. So we'll need to kind of... And then I want to do something else today. A very interesting task. Yeah. So you see, the issue that I'm trying to fix now is that once a callout is created... and also a task list, the cursor is not blinking there, right? And I find that very problematic. Okay, let's actually get back here and try to read a bit. Yeah, so that's the thing. Why is it not setting the cursor? It's kind of beyond me. Focus the editor at the given position. Delete the range. Yeah, so that's... So it seems everything seems fine here. At least logically. But it's still not kind of setting the cursor. That's so hard. Wait. Okay, AI might see the issue now. Let's see. And then we'll do something very interesting in the backend that I wanted to do for a while. Maybe is the WebKit? Yeah, I mean maybe, but I'm not so sure. I mean, this is TipTap, so I mean we could try this on Firefox, right? You're absolutely right. That's not a bad idea at all. Thank you for that. But no, it's not. These are like custom TipTap components I made. So I see no reason. Yeah, so it's not that, right? Because you can see any other component we do, like you see if we do heading, it's fine. If we do like code block, it's okay. We can go up and down. But as soon as we do one of the recent custom ones I built, like this one, so I find this very irritating that it's, yeah, that it's not there. Highly irritating. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm definitely not using an input for this component. That would make no sense, right? But I get what you mean. Like you're saying, Alex, maybe it should be the hidden input or an unstyled input. So, yeah, but I don't think so, right? I don't think so, mainly because if that was the case, then technically I shouldn't be able to write here at all, right? And we can try that. That's, I mean, you raised some pretty good assumptions, right? So let's actually see what is the underlying element that we indeed created for this. I think I created a div or a span or something like that, if I remember. Yeah, so it's a div. No, not really. Not really, right? That's the thing. Is it because of our parent? Maybe. Let's see. I mean, it's a very annoying one, but that's fine because this really boils down to like low-level understanding of TipTap, which obviously, I mean, very not. It's not a knowledge that's very general, right? So there's a lot of like, it's a custom extension. So and I'm having the same error with multiple extensions we wrote. So if we solve it once, we'll then learn what it is. Because I have the same with the to-do. So you see, same goes with the tasks. I mean, everything works fine, right? The behavior is there, but the issue is the. And also we need to clean this code up. And at this point, it's just a. No, I mean, I think maybe it's onto something. Maybe it's literally something as silly as the height, right? Maybe. No, I don't think so. Nah. Wait, let's just poke a couple of things and then we'll. Nah, it's not that. Shit. So annoying, man. Like, everything is done, everything works except this. Just bear with me for a moment. Ah, come on, dude. No, I don't think that's the problem. No, I don't think that's the problem. No, not at all. If that was the problem, I wouldn't be able to type at all, right? So I don't think it has anything to do with that. No. I think this literally might be a CSS issue. Because I think, because when there is no text in it, essentially the height of this paragraph might be 0 or something like that, right? So I believe that, come on. So see, if man, is AI writing shit in the background, bro? Why is this? It is, okay. Jesus Christ, man, so annoying. Yeah, I'm starting to believe it's a CSS issue rather than Mert, hey friend, thank you very much for coming on. Very good. So I can see that the height of this is 0. So let's set the height to 100 or whatever. And then most likely this as well. Trailing break. Then there's a break here. It's absolutely unreal, man. What the hell did it do? At this point, you wrote a bunch of useless code that doesn't solve the problem. Let's first clean that up and then keep trying. It can indeed be a CSS issue as well. Matthew, my friend, good evening. So yeah, so I really want to solve this and focus today a bit on more of a backend work. I want to build a parser for our news feed. So I want to parse some news with AI. So just for the engagement of people. So when you go to Programmer Network to a homepage, we have daily news from various places of the like technical news and stuff. So I actually don't want to work on this today because it's almost done. But I also don't want to leave it now because I want to deploy it to production. Because it's basically almost ready except this crappy cursor problem. Actually, that is solved, I believe. So that I have solved with a custom extension. So you can see I can go down. So that is kind of fine, right? So I can do that. I can do another call out like an example. And then I should be able to go up and down. So that is now correct. So the issue is basically, you see, when I insert a component in TipTap, the cursor now is supposed to be here inside, here, right? It should be blinking like this, right? Even when it's empty. It doesn't do that. So TipTap somehow, or my extension, fails to insert the cursor at that spot, right? Yeah, exactly. So it kind of sucks, right? It's terrible. It's just, I know it sounds silly, but not seeing a cursor is just absurd. Like, where am I gonna type, right? So, just wonder, man, there's a lot of the prose mirror CSS here that could be problematic, right? I don't know. That's what we're gonna figure out now. So the div is focused, right? Let's just try. This is very, I mean, for me at least, it's very hard to debug now because I don't know the API, the prose mirror API well enough to make any reasonable assumption, right? So let's try to Let's try to figure it out. Yeah, definitely, right? The biggest problem right now is that at this point I'm just having a very random assumption. So the thing is, I don't even, I'm like 3% certain of anything. So that's the problem. I don't, it might be completely something different, right? It might not be CSS at all, right? Nah, still the same crap. Man, so annoying. Is it live on programming? No, it's not, right? I want to put, actually, the task one is live. So a lot of things so this guy, so if you go here and do the task, it's the same issue, yeah. So yes, you can go and help me debug if you don't mind. So you can just do / and then say tasks. It's the same issue. It's the same issue. This one doesn't have cursor either, so it has nothing to do with callout, right? Yeah, same issue. Both are custom. Both are custom extensions that I wrote, right, with the AI. Man, thank you very much. The search confirmed this is a known issue. Okay, so apparently it's a known issue. Okay. Nah. What the fuck is happening, man? TipTap Pros Mirror custom extension, no cursor appearing. Hi from YouTube. Hi Mini Yush, good to see you. Max, good to see you. Yeah, so there seems to be other issues related to this as well, right? Yeah, so you can see somebody had a similar issue here, right? Like us, because when the callout is empty, expand the data node view. What's the actual HTML inside? Is there a p tag? Does it have any class? Is empty. Okay, let's take a look at that. So we do the /callout. We choose one. It doesn't matter. And then we'll give the AI basically the whole markup of this crap, right? P has width 0 when empty, so no cursor is shown. As soon as you give it width cursor, so basically full width or something like that, right? Okay, interesting. Okay, there we go. I think it works now. Wait, what? Yeah, it works. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but username 920. Don't worry if you're junior or not. It doesn't matter. We're all here to. Please never feel stressed to provide it. Like there is no. I'm not a god programmer like either. So this is we're also. This is a TipTap API, so we're all learning stuff here. So don't worry. I'm sure you could have easily solved this as fast as I do, right? So. Zom, thank you very much, man. You basically solved it at the same time when I gave it this thing, so that's very good. Actually, Max, dude, I swear to fucking God, like I thought the same. Thank you very much, Zom. I appreciate that a lot, man. And that's why I stream, because it's just it feels like I'm at work with my colleagues, so. Actually, just to be Max, we're gonna do that right now. At this very moment, we're gonna do that because I thought the same. I was at work today. Just kinda, responding to messages from new members of Programmer Network. And I also realized, like, man, it would be nice to show under the profile when one user has, member since or whatever. So let's do that. It's literally, especially with AI, it's gonna take us 3 minutes. Okay, guys, this is awesome. This is amazing. This is good. Now we can deploy. I have a massive change here to deploy to our Zen editor and stuff as well. And then we do what Max suggested right away, because I actually agree. And then we do very awesome task today. I'll just add this here, so we do it what Max suggested. I'll leave it open, and then okay, let me just very quickly go ahead and review stuff. So this is good. Yeah, that's good as well. Is this good? It's hard to tell. I need to really sit on my own and review this CSS, this prose mirror overrides, because that is not easy. Okay. Yeah, all of that is okay. I actually checked locally that these are actually rendered. If I go to the article, so they are kind of rendered with just emojis. So we're not actually doing any SVGs here, so that's fine. Let me close that. Let me just run the tests. Then we'll deploy that very quickly, and then we're gonna do something a little bit different today. Some security related stuff. Ooh. Yeah, okay. Sure, I agree. Okay, so yeah. Bear with me for a minute, and then we'll move from this. I need to be very careful here. I hate this implicit return here. Give me a second. Isn't Tailwind a headache? No, it's not. Tailwind is the most natural way to write CSS, how we used to write CSS 20 years ago. And you're not supposed to look at these components. These components are like not something you look at every day. Yatus, good evening. No, it's not. Flashbacks to block element modifier in Cube CSS. Yep. There's alternatives to CSS classes are million times worse. So if you think that writing your own CSS is better than writing CSS classes which are tested and deterministic, oof. I wrote BEM for years because we thought that's a smart idea. Oof, I still have PTSD for it. Are different Tailwind versions consistent with what you... I mean, you don't really... Are they consistent or not? I wouldn't say it matters at all, because it's up to you if you want to update or not. There's really very little reason oftentimes to do it, but for the most part they are consistent, and for the most part Tailwind team does provide they provide CLI tools for migrations. So for example, when they released Tailwind 4, they did almost nearly entire migration for you. Maybe there were some exceptions, right? I don't think this has, but that is the thing with that too, right? I think this is the same when people forget history, like basic history, right? This has nothing to do with Tailwind, right? There's nothing more fundamental in CSS as a concept than IDs and classes, right? We used reusable classes for a decade or two, right? And then a bunch of stupid people started inventing things like style components and writing CSS using JavaScript, right? So this, I would not conflate that with Tailwind, right? Tailwind could have been called banana. It doesn't matter. There's nothing more natural to CSS, right? Right, so, well, I mean, it doesn't matter what you have, it matters what you use, right? So just because something exists doesn't mean... Right, but either way, just note that a utility class is a function, right? And it's a reusable function that you can... and then you have function composition, basically. If we are to talk about CSS as if it was programming, that's what utility classes really are. Just reusable functions that you know, and they're pure functions as well. So when you say, P4, you know exactly what that means, or when you say whatever else, right? So I used to write Vue.js many years ago. I think I also contributed to Vue 1. I also know Ivan Yu. I met him once in Paris. So you're gonna hate me? Oh, I'm not gonna hate you, man. I've been doing this job for many years. I don't care what you use, man. As long as you're building things, Vue.js, Rust, C, Haskell, whatever you use to build things, that's great. PHP, Ruby, who cares, man? I like to build things. I don't care about the language at all. I just use whatever is the simplest and whatever gets the job done, right? Okay, let's deploy this. Well, I didn't work with not that early, no, PJ Boy, but I contributed to object defined property API back in the day. So this is, so for those of you who don't know, Vue.js 1, the version 1, the state there was handled by the object defined property. So basically, object-defined property and object-defined properties that you can run against multiple properties. Essentially, this is what Ivan you used initially for managing the state, right? Because you can use these, you can subscribe basically to use these setters and getters, right? And then you can say, hey, whenever a property of an object, it's almost like a proxy, right? Proxies are today you would use a JavaScript proxy, right? So it was first object-defined property and then proxies. Have I ever used Angular? Of course, man. I mean, all of us wrote Angular 1 for many years. Angular was Angular was ahead of time when it was released. Angular 1, but then when Angular 2 was released, which was a complete rewrite, most of us just switched to React, right? Max, there is, yes. There actually is. I did that a couple of streams ago and I never finalized it. So yes, there is a little issue there. That's literally on top of the list as well. So I don't know if I could call it a bug or simply something that I haven't finished yet. But from your perspective as a consumer, it is a bug. From mine, it was like, okay, I need to stop the stream. so I don't really have the time to finish it, right? What components? So I've just we just finished this. So I'm trying to build the most amazing writing experience, right? I'm doing this for our articles and for the rest of the platform. So this is the newest component I just added. It's called callout. So now when you're writing your blog posts, you can use this. And then we have something cool that I recently also added. Give me a second. I think we're rebuilding. Yeah. Then we have something like this, for example. You know, we have like. And this, you know, some of this will be kind of visually improved and stuff, but you can see we have like, we're doing like bunch of cool things now with the editor, right? So, if you've ever worked with, rich text editing, it is one of the hardest things you can do because there's a lot of. Well, my biggest fear for our TipTap isn't features, it's performance, right? So we need to be very careful when we build these components, right? That we don't degrade the performance. Because more of these nodes we add and more complex the TipTap editor state is, more rendering it has to do, more things it has to figure out. So far it's amazing, and I think we don't have any memory leaks, we don't have any unnecessary re-renders and stuff, but still we need to be very careful. Okay, so let's go to Yale. Shit, did I? Okay, good. So let's deploy a new version, release Yale 1.19.0, and then we're gonna deploy this to npm and then deploy that to our app, and then I think we're good to go. Gonna push this to npm. And there are a few more things. Yeah, shit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we should kind of still finish this crap. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I still haven't implemented the autosave, like a proper autosave, not like local storage or IndexedDB, but I want to do an actual HTTP, like a proper autosave in the backend, right? Which is very simple. Like, again, nothing mind-blowing. Or we could do IndexedDB as well, but it's pointless, I think. So there's some UX considerations there to consider, which is basically like, when you create a new article, do we just create a draft automatically with untitled, title, whatever, and then all right, we'll see. Let's publish this first, because there's a lot of awesome stuff we've done there. And then yeah. And then we'll see over time. We'll prettify and see if there's something more to do. Okay. So today what I want to at least attempt doing and having an AI makes it a bit realistic is a little bit more backend today and event driven stuff. So we want to build basically news aggregator. So let's just start there. So basically, no, Josh, I just started a couple of minutes ago. You're good. So today I want to start the news aggregator, and what most people use today for these types of things is N8N. The most recent thing I use at work, it's called Google Workspace Flows. Then of course you have things like, you know, Zapier and you know, and any workflow designer, right? Of course, I'm not going to do that because this usually brings, I mean, we can deploy N8N right now in our Kubernetes cluster here in like 3 minutes. I already have my own like Kubernetes files here. It's already on our repository. So we could deploy this to our Argo CD and stuff, but actually no. So I'm not going to actually do that. So what we're going to do, we're going to implement this news aggregator as part of our existing Bull MQ, which means we already have all the infrastructure, we have everything. So most likely what's going to be, it's going to be basically, if we actually go to our API, so if we look at our queues here, we have several already. And we'll probably build it as a queue, so it's going to execute basically on a different process and we're going to do it. And I kind of today already, okay, before we get into that deep, let me just go to front end. Let me just deploy our new front end. So we just deploy this to npm. What is the version? The version is this. So let's bump it like this. Let's install that. And let's yeah, sure. We do actually need that. Yes. And then we'll start with the backend stuff. I'm actually looking forward to that now. What? Interesting. Okay, what happened there? Or maybe I just removed it. Yeah, exactly. Okay. But okay. Moshiko, my friend, good day. How are you, man? Okay, so that basically means that we'll need to nuke the story as well, right? Okay, interesting. Let's try that again. Just chilling, nice, man. Likewise, just spending some time with you guys now, and let's see where we get and how far do we go. Shit. Fuck my life, man. Come on, bro. I forgot to do some deduplication here. Crap. Okay. No. Shit. Yeah, this is really annoying. Give me 2 seconds. Oh man, sorry dude. I started the stream last night when you sent me a message, But the safest thing, as I said, and actually that's good that you did it, is to basically buy what I bought, right? So that's very good, man. That's very good. What a bummer. What a bummer. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Oh, the thing is, actually, I don't want to do that now, but the thing is, yeah, good. I mean, I don't want to share your PII data. Oh, come on, man. Come on. What a waste of time. Are there any reason not to import all packages from package.json and mark them as external? I always do that since it's less annoying to me. There probably isn't, man. Like, there probably isn't, to be very honest with you. To be very honest with you, I don't know. I maintain so many of these libraries that I've wrote that it's very cognitively exhausting for one person to do it. So probably not. Probably your suggestion is most likely good. Yeah. It's just it's impossible to nail everything perfectly. I wrote so much of this code in so many repositories, in so many projects for this programmer network just alone, right? So is there a better way there? Maybe. I think maybe what you're suggesting is better, right? It's just it's just dealing with 50 different configurations and all of that crap is just incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. Come on, I want to start doing the other thing. Do you have integration? I don't have end-to-end tests, no. I wish I do. Maybe now when we have AI, we'll be able to do it one day. But no, right now we don't, no. That's impossible, again, for one person to do. Absolutely impossible. Maybe today it's possible with, I know that Playwright has an MCP and stuff like that, right? So things are a bit easier today when you can just delegate AI to do it. Ah, oh, crap, dude. Thank you very much for the follow, Rusty. Appreciate it, man. Okay, let's try now. The thing is, right, when you build things at work, for your side projects or whatever, you have to be aware of a couple of things, right? Number one thing is that you will always have limited time, right? So I would say So I think one of the core reasons I believe that people fail ever building something, right, long term, is due to the assumption that one day things will be different time-wise, and then they will be able to do it, right? And that time is never gonna come. I have two kids, I have a wife, a full-time job, right? So it's hard. I have a hard time seeing that time coming. So why am I saying this? Who am I even responding to, you might ask? I would say that when you're making technical decisions, right, you have to make them relative to the reasonable and amount of time that you have, right? So if you ever assume certain things about a code base at your work, oh, why this code has been like this, why has this been done like that, etc., 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 a mature way to look at these things is to always assume the circumstances in which certain things are done. And this doesn't just apply to side projects. I mean, I guarantee you that quality of programming network code is probably better than 98% of repositories out there on this planet. Because this is my side project and I do it with passion, so I have very high standards. But when you go to work in every single company on earth, you will find a bunch of garbage code, if you want to call it that way, but you can't point fingers at people because they had to also make technical decisions in, like, hey, for example, they didn't have end-to-end tests, they didn't test, right? So there's so many circumstances when building software, right, that that oftentimes you have to make for the sake of building something at the first place, right? So if you start a side project and you're like, I'm gonna do all sorts of testing and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, you'll probably never going to build anything, because again, initially, as I said, you have a very limited amount of time, so you have to make compromises. You will always have to make compromises. Like, there's no project on earth that's not built on compromises. It's just you have to make a decision which compromise that's going to be, right? It's massive pain in the ass to use AI with Playwright. Just heads up, massive headache, but has been nice when using it in my project. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing in engineer unknown, right? So I mostly rely on my skills. I've been doing this for 20 years almost, at least professionally. So I mostly rely on my skills. I rely on my tooling now, on the rules. So do I introduce regressions? So this is exactly like these things are very logical to discuss, right? So you have, so it's like, let me elaborate what I mean, right? So you have, actually I don't need to do that. Like, when you have limited amount of time, you have to choose what it is, where you're going to spend it. Are you going to build features and be fine with consequences of something not working, or build way less features and things, but assume that things will be working? And of course, having tests still doesn't mean that things will be working. A user is going to find a use case that you didn't cover and things will still break, right? So fundamentally, again, making that compromise is, again, just so I'm probably now hearing what you're saying, engineering unknown. I'm probably not going to actually implement that at all then. That's good to know, man. Thanks. Gabman, good evening, buddy. Bounty, my friend, good evening. Thanks for coming, dude. Glad that you're here, man, as well. Thank you, man. Engineering unknown, actually, that is exactly, so let me tell you the story of Programmer Network and why I think that it would be awesome to actually also get some playwright, right? So for example, I think end-to-end tests are also often misunderstood. Hence, why some people are more reluctant, why they don't want to do it in the first place. I think if we manage to introduce end-to-end tests into programming network, that's going to be critical flows like authentication, authorizations, because I built that in-house. So it's going to be some of the things that always absolutely must work, or reduce the chance of it failing, basically, right? So you will never actually ensure that something 100% works. So I agree with you. I think covering some critical flows is incredibly important. I agree, 100%. 100% agree. Yeah, absolutely, man. Whole programmer network, and by the way, if you get a chance, please go sign up. This whole platform has been built with defensive programming in mind. There have been countless people trying to, like, Alex, can I fiddle with it? So I agree with 100%. Product without security is not a product; it's a toy. It's a hello world project built at home. Security is not negotiable, right? Without security, you don't have a product. You can have the most amazing, beautiful thing. If there's no security, there's no product, because one tiny mistake and you can go to hell, your company, yourself, everything. So I agree with you, man, 100%. Without security, product is nothing. It doesn't exist. You can build whatever you want, but if it's not secure, it's meaningless. It doesn't always fit into a neat, organized package. Yeah, I mean, of course, unit testing today you must do, right? Unit tests are so cheap with AI. Yeah, you can generate, so unit tests are not negotiable today, I would say, because they're so cheap, right? So that I believe everyone should do, right? Nice, okay, let's see. Nice. Let's see, do our things work? This is actually the current article I'm writing. Call out critical success. Is this actually working? Can we go up and down? Beautiful. Let's update this draft. Let me go to it. Nice, it's working. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I'm very happy with that. Yes, style wise, we'll see. Will change over time a bit. I need to finish this article I started writing 3 days ago. I'm gonna finish it this weekend, so that's fine. When I take my kid to judo. Okay, beautiful. Very happy with that. Very happy. Our Zen editor, as I call it now, it's getting really, really awesome. So you can see I've removed the top bar, so now it's kind of this free floating, like Zen mode, as I call it. And then we have the bubble menu that I will have to improve the icons and stuff. But it's not the most top priority, because I'm building this now mostly for myself, because I started writing articles again. So I need to make sure that it's as awesome as it possibly can be. Okay, beautiful. Okay, let's now get back to what we want to build today, or at least start building today. Shit. Okay. So yeah, so this is what we want to build today, right? And for those of you who are not maybe following along or who don't have much experience with this, typically these types of aggregators, parsers and stuff, they're multi-flow type of things, right? So for example, typically when you build a news aggregator, what you do is like you say, hey, fetch. First you have a list of, let's say, RSS feeds or websites, right? The next thing you typically do, so you have a, let's maybe say, hard-coded list of things or something in a database. Then what you do, you say, hey, you have some sort of a headless browser or whatever that says, hey, go and get me those, and parse the HTML into something meaningful for me, right? And now what we're probably going to do, because I'm using OpenAI for programming network, we're going to most likely say, you know, give some data to AI and then use the tools by the agent, use the agent to turn these, let's say, flash news into the structure that our tables need. But of course, all of this, right, is going to be part of our RabbitMQ. Sorry, not the RabbitMQ, our BullMQ, basically our scheduler, right? So this guy is going to be executing this flow every whatever we decide, every day at 5 a.m. or every week at 5 a.m. We'll see how expensive this is. But of course, this is, you could say, because we're programmers, we can build this ourselves. But what people do today, they use these types of tools. There's also, I believe, ChatGPT workflows and stuff, right? So N8N is a good example of this, where you have, you know, drag and drop type of thing like this, and you can do this no code, right? So you do this absolutely without writing any code. And I would say that this is good. This is great. I think this covers many use cases. But what it doesn't do, and where it does fail, and why I don't want to use it, is because, of course, it exposes surface attacks to your platform, of course. Because now if I deploy this somewhere, if I deploy it as part of my own Kubernetes, then you could say we're pretty safe because the networking and stuff is still very local to my cluster. But if we use this cloud version, and if we deploy this elsewhere, let's say on Hetzner, then I would need to, let's say, open up some IP, some port for this tool so it can access my database. So this instantly for me is a massive no-go. Nobody on earth should be able to access my production database except the services within my cluster, right? Second reason why I don't like these tools is that, you know, they introduce dependencies, right? If this tool fails, because typically it will fail somewhere, then the whole thing fails, right? And lastly, the third point is it's simply not necessary for the things that don't have to be managed by either non-technical people or something that doesn't have to be managed continuously, right? So in simple words, you can see this is very nice. You can have an overview. They have some statuses and stuff. But we're going to do this our way just by using our queue system that we have. You know, for those of you who've been watching, we're using BullMQ. So not as a microservice or anything. We're just using it as part of our one and only API. And as you can see, we have pretty much everything. We have the queues, we have the workers, we have the schedulers and stuff like that. And then, of course, all of these things we do off the main thread, off the main, right? So it's very, 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 very effective as well. And one day, if it's not scalable enough, right? Of course, this is very far in the future. We would then turn it into a microservice. We would replicate a database, blah, blah. There's so many, it's so easy to scale things, so that I'm not even worried about. And of course, for this task today, we also gonna need some tables. So we're gonna need some tables. Inside of these tables, we're gonna have to store, this is up to the decision we have to make, but we're gonna have to store some RSS feeds. You know, where do we parse this data into, blah, 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 blah. So it's a pretty big task if we didn't have AI, but because we have AI and we know exactly what we want, I would not expect this to be a huge task. So I would expect that we're gonna generate some spec now. We're gonna generate some tables, some models in our ORM. We're gonna run the migrations. We're gonna create a couple of queues. And then we're going to start testing. So that's kind of it. More or less the plan for the... Actually, and before we do that, though, let's just use this. Let's just... What Max asked, I agree. Let's maybe somewhere in our profile say member since, or how do other platforms do? I don't know. But let's do that because I like to do what the community asks. So let's One of my viewers, Max, suggested that we expose the date when a user has created their programmer network account. So let's do that somewhere on our profile. We can either say something like member since. Let's discuss it. Let's do this first because I promised, and then we're gonna do the scheduler and other things. Thank you for the suggestion, Max. It was a reminder. I swear to God, I thought about it yesterday. So we're gonna smack it somewhere here because we do have the data. So the AI is gonna basically have to just update our AJV schemas and stuff like that. So it should be like 2-minute task. So this is mainly a UI change. Actually, no, it's going to be a bit of API. I think we're not currently returning created at to the UI because of the, validation layer, but we're going to do that now and then. So this is literally, it's like 20 lines of code type of thing I would expect. Alrighty, give me a moment. Yeah, exactly. So we need to just, this is our select statement, right? Yeah, save user attributes, sure. I would say Bounty, that is probably less relevant. I mean, I think actually every suggestion is good. Like that's also a good suggestion, right? It's just for the amount of people we have right now, I think that would be, I would say probably like, because then that's a bigger task as well. We need to then, probably use Twitch's API or whatever the platform is or whatever, I don't know. So I would say that this is like a literally 2-minute task, right? We're almost done. That's why I also just updated our RTK store, right? Just added the, so I would expect the next change is going to be just adding selecting the user in the profile, which we already do, right? And then, yeah. Date utils, yes, sure. No, Fullbringer, I mean, you need to be obviously in a plan mode always, right? So you should forget that agent mode exists. Agent mode is, it switches to agent mode when it starts executing, but you should be spending, you can go to file, you can go to preferences, cursor settings, and you can set your agent default mode to plan. Okay, member since is now there. Member since, yes, great. Shit, man, I don't like. Give me 1 second while I'm at this, and then we move to that thing finally. All right, never mind. That's fine then. I just kind of... All right, cool. So let's deploy API very quickly. Really, it was just a schema that was updated. Yep. So let's push that to prod already. Come on, man. All right, that's very good. So that's done. There you go, Max. We're gonna deploy front end in a minute. We need to wait for API because I mean, we could have generated unit tests for this, but the reason why I'm not is because we're using parse ISO, which is the built-in browser one, so we trust that. We're not going to be testing a core STL there. Jacobo, thank you very much, buddy, for the follow. Appreciate it. Okay, so that's all kind of good. Yeah, let's fuck it. Let's just go to our GitHub again, because we're deploying this now. So it, are we actually? Did I push that to prod? I don't think so. Oh, now I pushed it. Okay, funny. Okay, so that's gonna deploy. Hopefully, needs to pass all of these steps. Yeah. Okay. All right, beautiful, 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 beautiful. We'll wait for that for a minute and then we push the front end. Now, if I go to my GitHub projects, let's move this to done, what Max has said. Blah, 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 blah. This one is also done, I guess. We should probably introduce AI features. Let me actually move this hot stuff and let me rename it to TipTap potential extensions. So we should probably also implement. So let's actually clean this up, because we've done all of this. Also that. Thank you very much, lovely Letus, for the follow. So this extension already exists, official one, but we will probably want to introduce some AI features for our writing, also for myself and for the rest of you guys. So here we'll maybe provide some sort of way to read proof and stuff like that. Okay, but that's more on that some other time, maybe off stream. Okay, so yeah, so where is that thing that I created? Where's my task? Where is the task? I think I've created that today. Now this is also done. This is also done. Amazing. News aggregator. Okay, it's here. All right, so let's, we have a very good idea what we want to do. We have all the infrastructure to achieve it, right? So let's kind of now start, let's open this agent bullshit here. And let's start kind of slamming that stuff out. So first and foremost, we'll link our API project clearly. And we'll now define exactly what we just kind of discussed here. All right, so let's kind of get started. We would like to, crap, I didn't copy that properly. All right, actually, so that's good. So API is about to get deployed. Let's push the front end as well. Okay, we would like to create some sort of flash news for our programmer network platform so we can increase engagement and make it a useful feature so people can come and quickly get familiar with the tech news. I have included below a list of potential sources. We need to build a news aggregator using our existing infrastructure, and you can understand that by looking at our agents file, right? Simply put, we are using bullmq for event-based things, Postgres, Redis, and Fastify. This is kind of what I did at work already. The outcome of what we want to achieve, of course, within our own tables that we have to model, is to be able to show a nice news flash type of page with original links to the resources. We will, of course, run it in a way like this. Parse the content. Clean it up. Give it to OpenAI. OpenAI runs its tools to create the structures needed by our tables, etc. Standard stuff. things one would do using N8N, Zapier, and similar automation platforms. Okay. This is something I already kind of I was suggested to use, but open for suggestions. Let's start discussing and building a plan. Nice, Max, nice. Remember a plan. Let's ask the right questions, hard questions, and things we should pay the attention to. Of course, we will use our bool MQ to offload this job to a different process and not on the main thread. Okay, let's start discussing. Let me actually see since when I'm a member. Programmer network. What the fuck happened? What? That is so weird, okay? What happened with the thoughts? That's super crazy. Are we not getting any? Ah, shit, man. Okay. We broke it by user tags. Yeah, we need to fix that. Fuck, that's a regression. We need to fix that right away, but doesn't matter. Let's just go here. So member since March 7, 2023. Before we actually continue with this, let's just fix this. Because now our response, AJV response schema is failing. Because created at is missing somewhere. Because our left join that we do for thoughts is missing created at. The response is failing. What a silly thing. Let's actually manually go there. No, it's fine. We're not gonna revert it. It's okay. I'm using OpenAI. So for example, for those of you who want, you can already like... So we're using AI for several things already in the platform. One of them is you can import your experience here. You can import your CV, and I'm gonna parse all of the stuff. I use it to validate, to kind of tag content into tags, to add tags to content and stuff. And I'm using OpenAI for that. I'll show you in a minute. Let me just push this very quick commit, just so we fix that, because it's a little bit silly, to be honest with you. A bit silly. I was like, where are the thoughts? What happened? Okay, let's get back to designing this system now. What level of content should we store for each news? Metadata only. AI enhanced metadata, title, AI generated summary, tag, sentiment, score, link. Full article content. No, definitely not. So we're going to say B. What should OpenAI do with the news items? Auto-categorize and tag. Generate concise summaries. Yeah, all of the above, basically, okay? How frequently should we fetch new articles? Daily. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I think this is going to be a very interesting feature, and I'm actually looking forward to it for myself, to be very frank with you as well. So, and hopefully we'll see if other people will like it, because it is very useful, right? And we'll be able to extend this list with, if you guys here watching now have some sources that you already read and that you would like us to aggregate, then please share them with me, and we're gonna include them as well, right? Wow, wow, that's a bit funny, okay? Okay, we already did this, so AI has kind of farted out a bit there. Okay. Okay, cool. Fine. It's fine. Okay, this is now the most critical part. Okay, OpenAI processing. Summarize, generate concise 2-3 sentence summary from original content. Categorize, use existing text classifier. Yes. Rate relevance quality based on content. Classifies positive, neutral, negative. Deduplicate. Yes. Then this is the API. Why do you use cursor for agentic? I don't do agentic development. I don't let agents just write things and I go drink coffee, right? I would call this rather something closer to assisted programming than agentic. And I think cursor is amazing. That's why. I mean, have I tried Cloud Code? No, I have not. I have not tried it. I've only tried this thing, and it works really well. Honestly, it works amazing. It gets job done perfectly. So yeah, that's kind of it, to be very frank with you. Not much to say. I don't trust in that pure agentic development, like people like employ like 5 agents and they go to sleep. That I would never do. At least never. Okay, never say never. I would not do that for some foreseeable future, right? Because nobody reviews thousands of lines of code, right? And the code that I don't review, I don't trust. So this to me is a perfect workflow and a reasonable workflow where I, with my expertise, can actually, because every single thing that it wrote here, it wrote because I gave it directions through agentsmd file, through my existing structure. So what is it doing now is basically replicating 50 other things that I've already done myself, right? Would I allow AI to design my systems? I would not allow that, no. I would not allow that because I think that's just silly. But do I think that AI is absolutely incredible? Oh yeah, it's so incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. But no, my pleasure, of course. This is Cursor. This is just Cursor. So, but yeah, I have of course, and as always, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, right? So this is my experience. This is what I try to convey to my team that I lead at work and to my colleagues, that AI is incredible. It needs guidance. It needs, you know, needs human touch. It needs expertise. It needs domain knowledge, system level knowledge. And with that, it's absolutely fascinating. So it's literally now following the things that I've done in other places, and it does it amazingly because AI is very good at declarative stuff, and it's very good at saying, okay, you've done all of these things this way. Exactly, just like any other tool, a racket for a tennis player or a football, well, a ball for a footballer or anything like that. It's you know. So you see, like, so because this project is awesomely structured, it's just following systematic things that I kind of told it in my agentsmd file. So you see, I have a whole file here where I defined how I work, what my style is, how I write things, how I test things, how it should create resources, folders, structures, domain-driven design, how I name things, blah, blah, blah. And it just says, okay, I'm going to just follow what Alex told me, and I'm just going to be a code generator, because no way Alex can generate thousands of lines of code or hundreds in the speed that I can, right? Now it's a little bit hallucinating, even though I haven't seen this in a plan. I don't know why it's creating a seed, right? So this is what... So I don't know why is it generating this. Yeah, this was a little bit useless, to be honest. Fully useless. Fully useless use of tokens, and fully useless because we have Faker already. So that's, yeah, I don't know. Weird, but okay. It's probably my mistake. I should have maybe read more carefully. I assume that in the plan we'll take a look at it soon. So this is just basically dummy seed data that it wants to insert when I run the migrations. I mean, okay, sure. Okay, very important. We'll have to review the living crap out of this. This is the AI part. And it has already just copied what I have in a different place again. So that's how it generated. I mean, I do spend like $500 a month on AI, and that is basically nothing compared to how much my salary is worth. $500 is zero for this value that I get, and of course I use it at work. I don't spend $500 for programming at work. I don't think I spend 20 for programming at work, but at work I iterate and prototype and stuff. And it's absolutely fascinating. But yeah, I do spend around $500 a month on it, yeah. I mean, right now they're the same price, man. That's why. If you hover over here, it says available at Sonnet cost during the first 2 weeks. So right now they cost the same, right? So when this yellow thing is gone, I'll probably do that, right? Right now they cost the same. If you hover over this, it says available at Sonnet 4.5 cost during first 2 weeks. So it's the same price right now. Yeah, exactly. But very valid suggestions. Absolutely, man. Please keep throwing them at me. The fuck is this, man? Yeah, because this is a this is an enterprise account, right? This is an enterprise account paid by my company. I mean, if you're referring to this like message that I showed you. And we of course now gonna have to sit and review the living crap out of this. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think that I'm lucky per se. I think any company on earth today should be giving this to their developers infinitely. Again, of course, if you live in a different country where salaries, are, maybe $500 is a salary, that I get. But here in Copenhagen, right, $500 is 3 hours of developer's time, right? So not giving this is literally harming the business itself, right? It's that harmful, right? Okay, then in Poland the standard is of course a little bit lower than here in Denmark, so I get that. But no, even in Poland, companies should be just like, man, please use AI, please use it. Because the speed at which we can implement things, if we know how already, and if it's just a matter of typing the characters in, like this is a very generic task. There's nothing fundamentally unique about this task, almost, relative to 50 other things I already have here. It's gonna do some CRUD crap. It's gonna store some tables. It's gonna run some. It's gonna hit some websites. It's gonna pull some data. It's gonna process that data. It's gonna give that data to the AI. So when you think about these types of tasks, it's almost tragic for them to take any time, right? Because they're very generic by nature. It's like, yeah, I mean, I've done this task, 7 million times, right? So this is why AI is useful, because for these types of repetitive, which most tasks really are, they're repetitive. Yeah, I actually don't like this. What the hell? Why would it do this? Okay, that I heavily dislike, yeah. Wow, really? By the way, did we fix production? Yeah, okay. Let me just do a bit of shameless advertising. If you guys have the time, please go sign up. I would very much appreciate that. Let's actually, where's my Swagger spec? Swagger, in case this of course works, but I think we have some, Mr. Situation, hey buddy, good to see you. Likewise, man, good to see you as well, dude. Let's take a look at our Docker container very quickly. But we actually know that this guy is farting out right now. Yeah, pre-handler should be in function, blah, 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 sure. So let's give it a chance to kind of fix. I'm learning Unity, nice, man. So you want to be a game developer. Very cool, dude, very cool. Just note that's a very tough industry, but that's very cool, man. So somewhere we're using a middleware in a wrong way, but where, which route is it? Let's see if this guy can find it. So it has actually failed somewhere. Most likely in the router. So if we go to the API, so most likely, no, yeah, most likely somewhere here it failed with the pre-handler. Is admin, let's set up, set up decorators is admin. Yeah, what the, where the fuck did it find? There's no such thing as admin. Like, yeah, you see, it completely hallucinated. And no, man, but that is absolutely terrible. Why would we initialize a queue from the UI, man? That makes absolutely no sense. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Jesus Christ, man. I mean, you see, this is the tragic part of it. This tool is so amazing, but sometimes... why the hell would we trigger our aggregator from the UI? That makes literally no sense. What the fuck? Jesus Christ, man. That is so absolutely terribly dumb. Incredible. So fucking stupid, man. Like I can't believe this is like a complete rookie mistake. Absolutely. Jesus Christ. Okay. No, it's okay. Look, I don't want to be ungrateful. This AI thing is absolutely incredible. So I'll just shut the fuck up and stop complaining. I hate when I complain. That's by no means. It's just I'm so used to it being good that it's just I get surprised when it's not. That's all. So it's not a critique to the tool. It's like it does things so well, and then it does something as rookie as that. It's like, who the hell would allow front end to dictate when we schedule our jobs? That is just absurd, right? Very good, very good. Because you can see like a tiny mistake cascades across but okay, I mean, again, not criticizing AI by no means. It's okay. We all make mistakes, humans alike and stuff. It's just that you can see now it's removing a bunch of code because that one silly tiny thing. And this is why I say, like, this tool and the power of in the hands of engineers is amazing. Mert, thank you very much for coming, man. I appreciate that. Have a good night. We see each other another time. So you can see now it's removing so much stuff because the tiny stupid thing. So now imagine how much code like this. Likewise, man, right back at you. So imagine all of these vibe coded products, how they look like, how many of these oops types of things they have, right? I can't even imagine that, right? Because that is what they called that thing called vibe coding, is like you have a non-technical person just basically like prompting and getting something, right? Okay, let's just also validate the interfaces here. Thank you very much for the follow, Motoboat. Ismail, hey buddy, I'm very good, man. What about yourself? How are you, man? How's life? Jesus Christ, man, come on. This is a perfect code. This is a production ready code. It is generated exactly based on fragments of the code I gave it. So it's of course I need to review things a bit more and stuff, but the code related stuff is it's perfect. It's almost perfect. And that's because it literally replicated my existing code. That's all that it does, right? So that's why it's so fundamental that you have files such as agentsmd and stuff, so it exactly knows how to follow directions, right? So if we take a look at some of the code that it generated, right? So let's take a look at it, right? So let's take a look at the queues, right? So you can see all of the queues that I have. Yeah, I mean it. So I think I actually have to really like shift this discussion in a different way. AI is a tool that's gonna implement whatever you tell it to implement, right? It's not like some sort of a human that we have to discuss. Oh, is it implementing X, Y, or Z? It's implementing anything that you tell it. So if you are aware of security, if you know what security is, security of course spans over 7 layers over 7 layers, right? But it's gonna do whatever you instruct it to do, right? So like I also find the security argument that I hear online very often, like, yeah, but AI doesn't build secure stuff. AI is not a human being or a sentient being. It's a tool, right? So if you know about security and you prompt it about security, it's gonna implement security, right? So that's how it works. So output that you get out of it is directly related to your input. If your input is good, the output is going to be good. If your input sucks, your output is going to suck. This applies to human beings as well. So I don't think the AI is any exception, right? In that case, right? No, but exactly. But I think Ismail, I would. The thing is, I would not even word it that way because I believe it's a little bit misleading. It's a tool again, right? So let's not refer to AI as safe or unsafe. It's a tool. It generates strings. If you know which strings you have to generate in a certain context for a certain thing, it's gonna generate that. So I don't want to refer to AI as some sort of a thing that exists amongst us, right? It's literally a text matching algorithm, right? So right. So I would say, right, that and I'm not saying this to, I'm just saying it's creating this perception is incredibly crucial, right? If you create a wrong perception, if you start referring to this algorithm that generates text as something else, you're gonna have a hard time, right? So this is a tool that attempts to mimic human speech, but it's still a tool, right? But of course, if you don't know about security and stuff, if you don't know about anything, then I mean, how can it be secure, right? You have to validate that, right? You have to go and say, okay, this is good or not, right? It's no different than with humans, right? I would say that humans write as shitty code as AI because AI has been trained on human code, right? AI hasn't been trained on the right. Okay, so we did run the migrations successfully, as we can see here. So if we take a look at our database now, so we should have created, I believe, 2 new tables, right? I would just say it's an amazing tool, and it's more amazing, smarter you are, smarter the tool is. That's my whole point, right? So as I said many times, as Einstein said, right, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes looking for the right questions to ask, right? So if you're experienced enough, you know system design, you know system architecture, you know how to build software, then it's an amazing tool. If you don't, then it's not so amazing, right? So also the seed data has kind of worked. So we do have the seed data here. So that's good, I would say. To be very honest with you, I haven't double checked every single one of these feeds. I literally think it's worth doing it manually because, yeah, this one, for example, is not found, which kind of sucks ass. I literally think he did it on purpose due to, imagine the amount of bots today that Emacs, which one? Sorry, I don't follow. How much does what cost? Okay, that's also kind of dead. Also 404, shit. Too many 404s. That depends what you're doing, man. It can cost $20 a month. It can cost $2,000 a month, right? It really boils down to what it is that you're doing, right? How much you're building, how you're using it, how much you rely on it, etc., right? So it really depends. The Byte Engineering. Hey, The Byte Engineering. Good evening. Okay, let's validate this now a little bit, right? Because this is going to be a bit, like, I don't know what the cost of this is going to be, right? Because we will, do you have an agency? Of course, absolutely. That is absolutely critical to successfully using AI. Okay, so this is our prompt for OpenAI. So when we have this thing running once a day, we're going to pass a lot of data to OpenAI. I'm basically using the cheapest OpenAI model called GPT 4.1 Nano. It is absolutely critical. It is absolutely critical. Do that literally now. Okay, so let's see what the prompt is. You're an expert tech news analyst for programmer community platform. Your job is to summarize news articles in 2-3 concise sentences that capture the key points. Rate the quality relevance for developers, determine the sentiment, suggest relevant technology tags from the provided list, so I inject the list. Breaking news, major releases, security vulnerabilities, game-changing announcements, useful tutorials, interesting tech updates, blah, blah, blah. Very good, I like the prompt. Sentiment scoring, very positive, good news, blah, blah. For the tags, only use tags from the provided valid list. Analyze the tech news article title, description, source, valid tags to choose from, and then we have our own finite set of tags, yes. Then we have our table, basically definition here, so it's going to try to Hey Alex, I wanted to ask you, I just learned about a feature called Zero Trust in Cloudflare, which is basically start an encrypted communication between your machine and Cloudflare. I have experimented with a host of websites using that, and it does not require it to open ports and public applications. What is it? So, yes, Zero Trust is awesome. Definitely note that it's not fully reliable. So basically, Zero Trust there is you open a tunnel, they called it Cloudflared. So when you do that, you're going to install a Cloudflare binary called Cloudflared, and essentially you're going to open up a tunnel. So you're absolutely right. You don't have to expose port 80 and 443 to the internet, which you should not fear to do, right? The worst case is that... Okay, but considering your question, you're not feeling confident doing that, and that's fine. Yeah, I mean, the only downside of the tunnel itself is, again, that it can go down, for example, right? Or... it might so you cannot guarantee the 100% uptime. But if your website isn't something that has to have like 99.999% of uptime, you're perfectly fine. Yes. You're perfectly fine to do that. Absolutely, yes. My pleasure, man. When will communities and companies come back to reality? Every day I see so many articles in business that just add the keyword AI, regardless whether there's a real AI involved, whether it's becoming so boring ever since AI became... I think Ismail, I think I agree. I think it's common sense. I think that, but I think you have to understand several things in order to not get irritated by it, right? So AI is the current current trend, current hype, current as Mustafa Suleiman calls it, current wave, technological wave. And these waves happen every decade, sometimes twice a decade, 3 times a decade. And of course, it's marketing, right? So when we use word hype, marketing is, of course, always there. I would just say that I would be careful using the word real AI, because what is real AI, right? That's exactly the problem with perception of it that I spoke about 15 minutes ago. AI is a tool, right? So, and I think that people are diminishing its value by comparing it to AGI, for example. It doesn't matter if current tool thinks or not. It's completely irrelevant in every sense of that word. I actually don't give a crap that if I use a tool, that's literally like saying I don't want to use a hammer, even though I did hit that nail in my wall, because it doesn't think. I don't give a crap if it thinks. I don't care if it has emotions. Like if I have another company, my own company tomorrow, and I hire John Doe, I don't care if John Doe feels or if he's human or not. I want him to do the job, right? So when I think about AI, I think about it as any other tool, and I say, is this tool useful to me or not? There's no such thing like real AI, unreal AI. Is this tool useful or not? Can this tool solve a piece of problem in the software that I build or not? Can it solve a problem for the customers? Yes or no? Now, is it real, unreal, AGI? Does it think whatever? I don't think it matters at all. I don't know why people get so stuck into this mindset of, oh, it's not thinking. You have a bunch of morons. You have people today, billions of people on this planet who are completely dumb. They are completely stupid with very low IQ, and they are thinking. So are we suggesting that that human intelligence is some sort of like ultimate intelligence of the universe? I mean, most average people are on a fine line of being dumb or like just average, right? So I think AI is a tool, and some companies find use cases for it. I literally found use cases for my own platform, for Programmer Network, right? So it definitely has use cases. Do people overhype it here and there? Absolutely. But I mean, it's a tool, right? And every tool, every company that builds these tools, they want to sell them, right? So I would say it's not, there's nothing weird that I see there, right? I need resource for full stack. I mean, you're literally on YouTube now, man. That's a resource. I don't know what it is that you expect. YouTube has 7 billion courses on every subject. No, I agree with you, man. But don't get irritated by it. That's normal, man. In 10 years, you're gonna see some other word, right? Like that is just the progression of that's literally also why I'm building Programmer Network. So at the very least, to attempt to not be bothered by, whenever I wake up and I go to LinkedIn, I see exactly what you're seeing as well. And I just don't want to look at that. When you go to these other platforms like Twitter or whatever, is the same crap. So I'm with you, but that's just normal progression of humankind, right? In 5 years from now, 10, you're going to be seeing something else. So, I mean, it doesn't really make any difference, right? We had hypes, we had NFTs, we had Web3, we had crypto, we had, 5-10 years ago, crypto was in your fridge. You open your fridge and it's like crypto, right? So this is how these trends work and how they operate, and you just ignore it, I mean. And you try to find the value for yourself, basically. A question, I have a website I built with HTML and CSS, but now since I know React, nodejs, and Tailwind, what should be my approach to transform? I don't think that you know these technologies, man. I think you think that you know, but I don't think you know them. Because in the way that you formulated your question, I don't think that you know any of these concepts, including HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? Based on the, please, I'm a realist. I always give honest feedback in this stream. I don't think that you know any of these things that you say that you know. Because if you knew these things, you wouldn't be asking such question. Which I'm not saying that there's anything fundamentally wrong with you not knowing. All of us at one point haven't known some of these things. But I think the worst thing you can do to yourself is assume that you know something, because that is going to slow you down tremendously. If you truly knew reactjs, nodejs, and all of this stuff, there's no way in insanity that you would ask a question like that, right? No chance. Because what you just wrote in that sentence is like, I know everything. I can build backends, frontends, everything. And you can't. If you could, you wouldn't ask that question, right? And I know that you can't, because I know that the way that you formulated your question, it tells me that you don't, right? Because your terminology of the words you used is not how you would ask this question, right? So I don't think you know these things. Maybe you watched a video, you mimicked what someone else did, you followed. Well, I don't know everything. You see, you're not capable of receiving feedback. I'm just saying you need to formulate the question. I don't know what you're asking. Like, there's no such thing as transform whole code. Such concept in programming doesn't exist. I don't know what you mean by that. Right? So that's the problem. Hey, Nasir, my friend, you good? Man, I don't know why it writes these completely useless comments, man. It's fascinating. But the repository has nothing to do with hosting a website, man. Repository is a place where you keep your code, right? So that's why I say I'm trying to get you to think, to formulate that question, right? I think you're probably talking about the hosting and stuff, right? You're maybe that is the question you're trying to ask. Alex, where can I host my website, right? But that's a vastly different discussion. You would need to explain what your website is. Is it a static site? Is it a site that has a backend, a database, right? Because then that becomes a matter of hosting repository structure. Where, man? Your questions are very vague. Like, what do you mean repository structure? Of what technology? What are we talking about? Which end are we talking about, right? Your questions are revealing that you're lacking basics. So that's what I'm trying to get you to see. Because the way that you formulate your questions is like I'm listening to a person who never saw a piece of code formulating them. That's the problem, right? You're asking what, like, structure of what type of project? What are we talking about? You have to be patient, spend a minute, and formulate a question that makes sense. I don't think that anyone in this chat understands what you're asking, right? If somebody understands what he's asking, please respond to his message. But I don't think so. So you need to formulate the question better. Do you think it's possible to have a self-hosted AI coding agent via Gwen GTP OS that compares to today, or very far away. So you can only do that if you have all of these mega expensive GPUs that data centers use. I tried to host several things here in this very machine, some of these models. The tokens per second you get is so depressingly low that you literally, like, I have a RTX 4070 Ti, and I could barely use a model just for myself. That's how slow it is. And you could say that 4070 Ti RTX is like a still, maybe it's not top tier consumer graphics card, but it's still, you know, I paid for it like a lot of money, right? So these models are just let's actually training the models is the most expensive thing. We had a hackathon, a Dream Data where I work maybe 2-3 years ago, and Iker and I, my colleague, we used Vertex AI from GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and we actually trained our own model, like at least in the GCP environment, and we left it for like 1 day. Took 1 day, super small amount of data. I think we paid around $400 for that. The company paid. It was absurd small amount of data, and it actually, the training went really bad because we also didn't know how to do it. But that is basically why investors are throwing these billions at these AI companies. That's really all that these AI companies are, just training these models, right? They have infinite amount of data, and then they're just training the models, right? And that is the expensive part, yes. So I think for the aggregator here, I think we need to, because we want the fresh news, right? It makes no sense to fetch 50 items. This is absolutely absurd, right? So I guess if we go to some of these sources, right? I don't remember, does my own RSS feed contain any titles, but it should. But if we go and check one of them out, there has to be a date, right? Somewhere. I hope so. Yeah, there is a pub date, right? This is an XML document, right? So yeah, that's what we have to aim for, right? Should we maybe depend on and just process the ones released 7 days from pub date? Did you see Anthropic acquired Bun? No, I haven't actually seen that. That's very interesting. That's very interesting, but yeah, also a little bit weird, but that's good to hear, I guess. Hopefully, if they remain open source. I mean, let's compare pub date. Let's go TechCrunch RSS. So let's kind of Come on, dude. I'm not gonna disable my fucking ad blocker, bro. I mean, to be very honest with you, I don't care too much about bun, but okay, so most of them do include pub date. Yeah, so let's kind of do that. The thing is, Josh, I think it's a very good investment. I think Node.js and so I think let me tell you why that's let me tell you why that's a great investment, right? So, and it's gonna make total sense. So TypeScript became the most popular language on GitHub. It overtaken everything, right? AI is incredibly well trained on TypeScript, JavaScript code bases, right? Bun.js is basically TypeScript first. It also is built in Rust, so it's highly performant in a way, right? So in a way, when you think about it, it makes total sense because these types of technologies, especially in the age of AI today, will be getting more and more traction, right? You know, so it makes total sense. Now, what is their goal with it? If they're gonna remain it open source, I have no idea. I don't know why they bought it, but I have an interesting question. In your team, do you spin up preview environments per branch? Well, no. If yes, do you use any paid tools such as? No, we don't do that. That would be a massive waste of time and resources as well. We have a staging environment and we test in staging. We also test a lot in production as well, because truly the only real test if these things work is production, right? And of course, this is, you could say to some degree, maybe an anti-pattern in a way, but it's not really. Let me actually switch here. We're gonna round up soon anyway. But no, we don't do any crazy things. Keep in mind that process can be a massive pain in the ass, right? Sometimes certain things appeal like, wow, what if we can just spawn a separate environment for every PR, right? These things in theory sound cool. In practice, typically are useless or harmful even, I would say. So I would say that as always, I always say that problems should lead us to tools, not the other way around. So you could say almost like premature optimization of anything is the root of all evil, as the old saying goes, right? So if you are doing, let's say, preview environments for PRs and you don't really know why, someone in your organization has failed to either explain why, or they just thought, oh wow, let's waste resources on doing that, right? So no, I don't do that. I don't think it's necessary. I think having a staging environment where you can click around and stuff like that is enough. I think how you test and how you deploy there are certain other subjects that I think relate a lot more to that. So for example, the way that you write code, the way that you break things down, the way that your organization the way that your CTO and your team leads and your tech leads have made you do things is vastly more worth than any tooling. So for example, you should be breaking features into feature 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. In simple words, I don't even believe in two-week sprints. I actually don't believe in sprints at all. I think that the pure art of product development and software engineering is how can we release this feature to customers as quickly as possible in 50 iterations if need be. So if you're building features like for weeks, there's some code that sits on your computer for weeks, and then eventually somebody sees it or reviews it, that's a massive failure, right? So basically, once you establish a process of small micro commits, small micro releases, a lot of these tools are simply not even needed anymore, right? So simply put, usually a lot of these tools are the product of other engineering practices that are simply bad, right? So if you manage to bring yourself as an engineer to a point where you're really good at breaking things down, so you get some task, some feature, whatever, and then you break it down into such small units so they're easy to review, right? Nobody reviews a feature, a PR of 3,000 lines of code. That doesn't happen. So if you kind of do these very kind of fundamental things properly, then your CI and all of these things become vastly relevant, right? Because yeah, exactly. I mean, these are like, I think actually, Cave, that's a very good example. I think there's so many things we can deliver to our customers now, and keeping the code on your computer for any amount of time is deferring, it's delaying that value. So if it takes a month to release a feature, of course sometimes they're critical long projects that hopefully are not happening very often, but the core question always can be, how quickly can we get this in front of people, in front of customers, so they either say this sucks ass or this is great. And then you walk backwards to your process, and you then realize that the only way to do that is to enable your developers as a tech lead, as a team lead, as an engineering manager, whatever, to like, hey, you have to break these things down. You have to break them down, not just for the sake of releases and whatever, but you have to break them down so your colleagues are not cognitively, exhausted when you open a PR, because your PR has 4,000 lines of code. I would never allow that. As a tech lead, if I would see a PR of 4,000 lines of code, that would be really bad, right? Because nobody reviews that. So I think this is what I've seen in my career, that if you manage to break things down to as micro level as you can, everything else just flourishes. Everything else just happens. PRs are super quick. There's no comments on the PRs almost, because things are easy to see, easy to spot. So you basically, the whole fluidity just cascades to all layers of things, right? And again, Ismail, what I'm saying, take everything with a grain of salt, because there's many ways to do things, right? So I would say, please don't take my opinion as some sort of an ultimate, absolute opinion that's true or not. I think even what you said now can be broken down. Your last sentence you said, or last thing you wrote, it can be broken down in many ways. I think people who breaking production is fine, but it's your responsibility to fix it. So there's a lot of these very mini rules, very minimal rules that you can embrace. Like, for example, I broke production many times, my colleagues broke production many times, but then I fixed it 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later, right? So these things will happen no matter your CI or whatever. Either way, you will break it, but then you have to have pride to fix it right away or whatever. And, I think now the last thing that you wrote, it just opens up many other things, right? Like, why are non-technical people merging to production in the first place? That makes no sense, right? So, had to review a PR that has been going for a couple of months and had 17,000 additions. Yeah, that is a massive organization failure. Yeah, that is massive failure on the organizational level. I wouldn't even blame that programmer who did that. I would just say that's a massive lack of experience of leadership. And I would say, that is tragic when it happens, right? That PR is going to haunt you guys forever. The amount of regressions and bugs that PR is going to introduce will haunt you for a long time. How do I know? Because I've seen these things before. And nobody reviewed that. When you said, I had to review that. Let's face it, you didn't really review that, because even AI cannot put so much context into its own context window, let alone a human being, right? So yes, so there's a lot of yeah. So that's why some of the processes exist, because they are the result. So this is exactly the thing of tooling. That's my point here. The tooling often is result of either bad practices, right? So that's why it's so important to ask these questions also, Ismail, right? It's like, hey, we use these tools. Why do we use them? Are we patching, like, are we introducing a tool because we are unable to fix the underlying issues at the first place, right? So for example, you're saying, like, let me give you an example from this very context. You're saying, well, we have non-technical people breaking things. Well, you can then say, well, maybe that's the issue you should fix, not the tooling itself. You get what I mean? So, and this is an arbitrary example. I'm trying to use something that you just, right? Yeah, exactly, Fullbringer, exactly. So I think oftentimes it's very important to reflect back on like, hey, we're using this, we're doing it this way. You know, why are we doing that? So I think it's a fair thing to ask, and I think in many times you will realize, shit, man, we're using this tool because we haven't fixed something somewhere else instead, right? Yeah. I learned JavaScript and React, but when I try to code or build something by me, I get blank. Well, you haven't learned it then. I mean, when you say I learned it, what do you mean by that? I think this is a massive statement, right? I learned Node.js. I learned React. That's a huge statement, right? Like, what do you mean you learned it? Because I don't think you learned it. That's the problem. Because you said that you don't. Like, I mean, you said I learned it, but then you said when I have to do something, I can't. That means you didn't learn it, right? No, Ismail, of course, man. And I am very openly, you know, I'm very openly sharing it. So that's why I say everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. Process it, say, okay, Alex might have a point here. So I'm by no means, especially, it's also very hard if you and I were over the coffee and there was more context. It's sometimes right easier, but I think the only point that I would want you to take, at least from my this huge long monologue, is tools are the product of many things, right? And tools are often the product of good or bad process. That's if I'm to summarize it, I would say, do you need preview PRs like this CI, that CI, right? You cannot complete a core. These are the so fields. Well, you actually you wrote I learned it, right? But this is not what programming is, man. You don't complete a course and you're like, okay, I'm done. That's not how it works. Max, why not? Maybe we do that, yeah. No, likewise, man. Thank you for listening. And please, again, as always, take it with a grain of salt. It's just sharing ideas. I think I myself as well at work, running my own team, I often ask myself, shit, is it too much process, too little process, right? These things are often hard, but then oftentimes it's very important to like go and like ask some of these questions again. Like, okay, we're doing this. Let's remind ourselves, why are we doing it, right? Netflix. No, I'm rounding the stream now. I've been streaming for 2.5 hours, so this is the end of the stream. So I'm just answering some questions before I leave. I heard in one of your streams you do not love Next.js. What is the reason in terms of engineering? I mean, I wouldn't say love, really. I wouldn't really say love. I would say I don't really love technology per se. I don't really love or like or dislike technology, any of them. I think that these abominations such as Next.js and stuff, they don't solve any particular problem for me, and I don't think that they solve particular problem for majority of people who use these tools, right? When you talk about these tools, especially to younger developers, entry-level junior developers, inexperienced developers, and you ask them about why are you using that, of course they don't know, but what they do answer, because that is what they heard online, is SEO, you know. And then I'm like, yeah, man, but you're building an intranet, you're not building a blog, so why would you need an SEO for a platform that's literally locked behind a login? It makes no sense, right? So there's nothing that Next.js and any of these server-side rendered tools do that for 99% of actual dashboard type of products an SPA doesn't do, right? So when you look at Programmer Network, right? Programmer Network, if you go there now, every single thing loads in instantly. There's every single thing is, right? And it's just plain React, right? And so like with everything, right? You need to, like with everything, with any rational technical decision, as a senior programmer, or as a tech lead, or as an engineering manager, director of engineering, you have to make decisions based on reason and not based on cool thing, not cool thing, right? So fundamentally, if you want to use, let's say, such massive opinionated abstraction such as that thing Next.js, you need to have a very good reasoning behind it. Why are you doing that, right? I think the reason why that thing is popular is mostly entry-level programmers, entry-level developers, because you kind of get this whole bundled opinionated thing where you have to know very little, right? Put this here, install this module, paste this here, connect this third-party auth library, right? And things work, right? So I think so that technology sells to less experienced people who don't know how to build proper backend, proper frontend, how to connect them, how to deal with cores, with various other things, right? So So again, like, but as always with everything, I don't really dislike or like any language. I don't care. I've been writing many languages throughout my career. As always, you as an engineer, I think this word has to always be emphasis when, even for programmers and developers and nerds today. But you as an engineer have to pick the right tool for the right problem. Always has been the case, and the best architects on this planet have been doing exactly that. So if you sit with your team, Ismail or whatever, and you say, let's use this, you have to do your basic due diligence and argue why and argue why not. This is what engineering is about. This is what building software is all about. Decisions, right? Like, because the outcome of engineering are your decisions, and the code that you write is just an eventual mean to get there. But the decisions that you make, they have massive implications, and these implications have very little to do with code or performance. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about hiring. We're talking about extensibility, locking yourself to certain vendors, being able to move in different directions if the time asks for that, right? So when you make these technical decisions, such as like stack, like which stack do I have to choose, you have to ask basic questions. Okay, where do I live? What is the demographic of developers in this area where I live? How easily can I hire them? You know, how much does this developer cost relative to this one? So this is how technical leaders, this is how we make decisions, right? We don't make decisions because some asshole, some content creator on YouTube says that this past 3 seconds, this new tool is the best one. No serious people watch that crap, right? So that sort of content is mostly built for either, you know, people without a job or very young people who glorify these type of stars, right? But fundamentally, technical decisions are made around the business, not around the code, right? For the most part. So yeah, so that is kind of the sentiment behind it, Ismail, for me. So yeah, being basically, I guess the response would be, you have to be an engineer. That's pretty much it. All right, guys, I need to go. PJ Boy, thank you for the comments. I am reading them. I'm just trying to filter out things that are statements and questions. I need to go. I can hear that my wife is still alive, well, awake. So I'm gonna just say hi to her and then probably go to. My pleasure, guys. My pleasure. Take care, everybody. If you haven't, please take 2 seconds and go sign up. Leave a message or whatever. And yeah, I'll see you guys some other time. Okay, have a good one, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys some other day, some other time. Yeah. Absolutely, guys. My pleasure. Peace out.